Welcome to Hope Channel International. You've probably heard the phrase, only God can judge me, but are we really ready for God to be judging us? This video explains why judgment is actually good news.
Let's talk about judgment. You said just before we broke that it's good news, and I know that that thought is new to somebody watching tonight. How is judgment good? I mean, I have faced judgment once or twice, and it wasn't great news.
Yeah. Well, I guess it all depends, too, on I guess the bottom line is ultimately who your judge is. And if we have we're told not to judge. Why are we told not to judge? Because we don't know all the facts. Okay, but there's a God who knows all the facts, a God, though, who has revealed his love to us, a God who has revealed he's a God of justice. I personally am very thankful of the promises of ultimate judgment, the promises of justice being done. Again, coming from the Jewish background and the whole weight of that, I want to know that the people who got away with this in this life are going to have to. They might have gotten away with it here, but there's going to be a God who's going to judge them.
I've heard people say, though, Cliff, look, God is love, and he's too nice.
Yeah.
He's too nice for any retributive justice. I mean,
tell that to the ancient Israelites. Tell that to them with some of the stuff that they suffered through,
Well, so is God just settling the score? Is that what it is? Is judgment God settling the score?
I'm willing to concede that there are aspects of God's judgment I can't understand. But God says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay. Okay, I mean, if you love somebody,
right,
and you see somebody viciously attacking them, being evil to them, is it just, well, I love the evildoer so much that I'm going to just let him do what he wants? It doesn't work that way. I'm willing to concede that God's justice is something that I don't fully understand, but I take great, in fact, I had a sermon once that I preached called that, The Promise of Hell, okay? And it was just, I have to ultimately trust and believe that the justice and judgment that I don't see here. There's so much injustice in this world. There's so much that goes along that's not taken care of. And yet, people say, well, it's just a pie in the sky hope you have. Well, it's a pie in the sky hope in the sense I have it because the Bible tells me about it. And if God ultimately doesn't bring justice at some point, then we have to accept the fact that we live in a totally unjust world and there will never be justice done. And if you can live with that, fine. But I have a Bible, and my Bible tells me about a God who that's not what God is like.
Well, I find it interesting is that everybody's got an inborn sense of justice. If somebody else has hurt us or done us wrong, there's this feeling, boy, that's got to be made right somehow, somewhere. And yet, we don't want that for us. Right? We want God to eliminate all the evil in the world, but if he really did that at this moment, I wouldn't make it.
Yeah. Well, see, here's where you ultimately come into the gospel and the whole thing of the gospel. If we all got the justice, in a sense that, and this is the mystery of the gospel, this is the mystery of that even though we are wretched, we are bad, we've done bad things, God is willing to forgive us all. He made a provision to forgive us all at the cross.
So it wasn't just a dismissal of sin and evil.
No, the cross shows the ultimate consequence of sin and evil. That's what sin and evil led to.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is the take-home lesson for Cliff Goldstein in Daniel chapter 7?
I remember a long time ago, or a number of years ago, I had just been doing some reading through the book of Daniel, reading it in the Hebrew and the Aramaic, and just reading it over and over, just reading it. And it was funny because I remember I was in Australia actually, and I was sitting outside and I was thinking about something and feeling a little anxious about something I was facing. And then I just remember I had just been reading so much in the book of Daniel, and it showed me that in the end, it sounds like a fairy tale and they lived happily ever after, but in the end, it turns out good.
Yeah.
It turns out good.
Judgment in favor of God's people.
So no matter how messed up things are here now, that in the long run, and we've got to look, I remember years ago before I was a believer, every now and then I used to sit there and think, where am I going to be a million years from now? You know, just wondering about the ultimate, you know, these transcendent questions, ultimate questions. And this, you know, the secular view, it all winds up, will end up being swallowed up by the same cold and caring forces that apparently created us. And
very hopeful.
yeah, well, I suppose that would have been better than just continually going on, you know, in a miserable world with, you know, no hope at all. Yeah, but Daniel ultimately showed me that in the end, God will make it all right.
His kingdom is the final stop in this prophecy.
Yeah, and it's the one kingdom. See, all these other kingdoms come and go and come and go. And if you read it, it says a couple times, God's kingdom will never be destroyed, it'll never be taken away, it lasts forever. So all these other ones are here and gone.